Enhancing your editing workflow is crucial for productivity and storytelling. And I have 5 tips to enhance your productivity and your editing workflow. First off, my name's Joseph Lipsen, and this channel is to talk about my 2 favorite things and bring those worlds together, filmmaking and tech. This is a place where I can share my opinions, share my experiences, with the hope that some of this stuff can help you out along your journey. So with that, make sure you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button to support this channel and so you don't miss an upload. Okay, these are 5 steps I've incorporated into my workflow to make me a better editor and storyteller. The first thing is your space and your atmosphere. Your space, your atmosphere, and your vibe is everything to this process. Are you a darkroom editor? Are you a natural sunlight editor? Are you an editor that needs something at all times playing in the background with audio or a visual, hence the TV? That's what kind of editor I am. What's more important in this step than in any other step in the filmmaking process is this is when the story comes together. This is ultimately when you puzzle all of the pieces together. What works for me when I edit might not work for you, but what's nice about this process is it's an experimentation process. I've gone through so many phases of trying to figure out what kind of vibe I like to edit in, and ultimately I did find it over time, but it did take a lot of trial and error to get to that point. For me, I need a dark room. I need some natural lights in places. For me, I need a dark room. I need a little bit of natural light peeking in. I need the TV playing, something that is just like a passive type of show that I can just have on the background, Seinfeld. And then ultimately I need something in my hand, like a coffee or a tea. For me, that puts me in my Zen state. It puts me in my most productive ways, and it ultimately gets the most out of my story because I'm locked into an environment that I've ultimately carved out for myself to be comfortable. The next thing is find music while you're editing. Trust me, trust me, trust me, this is important. Music is everything to an edit right off the bat in building a scene, in building a mood, in building a vibe for your video. Think of finding music like cooking, more specifically like spicing your food. You can have just straight up footage after footage, just like you can have straight up food in a pan. But think of it like cooking, like I said. Would you season your food after everything's done with all your seasonings? Would you do it before or would you do it during? For me, when I cook, I do it during. And doing it during is just like an edit. While you're in an edit and you're putting clips together, find the music that's gonna drive those clips into the next one. And it'll make the story piece together a lot sooner in the process. And it takes away a lot of that trial and error of trying to figure out what works. The next one is color correct your clips as you go, just like the music step. This one might ruffle some feathers of some real hardcore editors because a lot of people will save their color correction till the end if they have like a colorist or something, which that makes complete sense. But if you're like a one-man band and you color your own footage, for me, what I found works to move my edit along and move it in the way I want to move it and ultimately give me a little bit of motivation for seeing my vision come together is coloring clips as I go. Not all of them, but a few here and there just so I can see the progress along the way. When I do this, I get like overly hyped up in the edit, in the timeline, when I see the music come together, when I see the footage come together, when I see the color correction come together, when I see the ultimate flow of the story come together. It really motivates me and moves me forward throughout the timeline to ultimately get to that end point I really want to get to. This one's a tough one to explain. This one's a tough one to convince people to try to do, and I know people in the comments are gonna have some things to say about this, but that's just something I do and it really works for me, and try it. If you don't like it, don't do it, but it's something that I found really helpful for me when I'm deep into the editing phase. And as you know, I use Davinci Resolve to color grade all of my clips, and I have my No Tree video linked up above and linked in the description below with a download link of my node tree that you can try in Davinci Resolve and follow along and try that method out because it is really fun to color. And I've had a lot of fun in Davinci Resolve being able to break down and see how colors work and ultimately shape the footage in the colors that I've really viewed it to be in my mind. And last up, accept and embrace the fact that you are putting a puzzle together in this stage. For me, this is the most fun part. I love producing, I love shooting, I love storyboarding, but editing for me is the most fun part of the process because you are ultimately maneuvering a story from point A to point Z, and it's literally putting a puzzle together. You'll find yourself putting pieces in places that make sense in your mind, but don't make sense on a timeline yet. And that's ultimately something that's fun. It is really intimidating at times, but if you embrace it for what it is and you embrace the beauty of telling a story, ultimately you find how deep the layers are and how fun the process can be. And don't be afraid to color clips for specific things so you know what goes where and what you can come back to. I think of a timeline as an organized, chaotic place. Ultimately, because it's not supposed to be pretty. You're supposed to have layers and layers of video, layers and layers of audio, because you are putting together a layered, multi-level story. And it's not supposed to be pretty. It's supposed to be something that works for the way your mind works. And that's ultimately what a productive and successful timeline looks like. My best, longest, most in-depth videos and stories have the craziest timelines. It's a timeline where I can hop in and I know where everything is at the snap of a finger. But if someone else goes in, it's gonna take a little bit of time, because I think of a timeline as part of our brain on paper. And that's ultimately the creative process. And it's a beautiful thing. But those are 5 tips that I have found productive in my filmmaking career in the editing stage. Like I said, I do so many different aspects of the filmmaking process, but there's something special about the editing process. There's something special about the place that you lock in and put your story together and just embracing everything that comes with it. Leave a comment down below what your favorite part of the editing process is, and I bet a lot of people will have the same answer and a lot of people will have very different answers. Like I said, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 5K end of this month, and with your guys' help we can get there. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.